You probably noticed that one young princess keeps popping up in headlines and on mood boards. Princess Alexia of the Netherlands. She was born straight into serious wealth and tradition, but she's managed to give that world a very modern, slightly rebellious twist. No official Instagram, no constant interviews. Yet somehow she has people all over the world talking about her style, her schools, her friendships, and even her nightlife. On paper, Alexia's life reads exactly like you'd expect from a high-ranking royal. She comes from one of Europe's oldest dynasties, lives between historic palaces, studies at elite schools abroad, and steps out in couture and heirloom jewels. But when you look closer, you see a teenager turning into a young woman who clearly enjoys pushing the edge of what princess is supposed to look like. Princess Alexia Juliana Marcella Laurentian of the Netherlands was born on June 26, 2005 in The Hague. She's the second daughter of King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima, and that alone already puts her high in the royal order. After her father and her older sister, Catharina Amalia, Alexia comes next in the line of succession to the Dutch throne. So while she doesn't carry the direct weight of being heir like Amalia does, her position is still incredibly important for the future of the House of Orange-Nassau. Alexia spent her childhood at Hughes 10 Bosch Palace in The Hague, growing up with her sisters Amalia and Ariane in surroundings that look like something out of a history book. Formal rooms, portrait of ancestors, grand staircases, and vast gardens. From the start, however, her parents made sure her life wasn't just ceremonies and photo calls. Her education has been international and demanding. She began at Christelijk Gymnasium Sorglia in The Hague, a respected school that her sisters also attended. Later, she left the Netherlands to pursue the International Baccalaureate at UWC Atlantic in Wales, a boarding school known for mixing rigorous academics with a strong focus on international understanding and social responsibility. That school move put Alexia on the radar of royal watchers across Europe even more, because UWC Atlantic has become almost a royal hotspot. It's the same place the Spanish heir, Princess Leonor, studied, putting two high-profile princesses of the same age in one coastal Welsh castle lit up the tabloids instantly. At home, Alexia has gradually started to take on more visible royal duties, but always at a pace that fits her age. You see her at King's Day celebrations, on the balcony for Prince Jesdag, at national commemorations, and carefully chosen public engagements. She's not overexposed, and you can tell the Dutch court is very deliberate about that. Official profiles describe her as spirited and adventurous, and that comes across in the little glimpses we get. Her easy smile at walkabouts, her energy at public events, and even the way she jokes with her parents during photo calls. Away from the cameras, she has a broad mix of interests. She plays piano and sings, continuing a long tradition of music in the Dutch royal family. She's active in sports too, particularly hockey and skiing, which are staples of Northern European royal life. One moment people still talk about is the King's Games in 2016, an annual sports day for school children. Alexia took part even though she had a broken femur. She still joined in the dancing, showing that stubborn, determined streak that doesn't always line up with the image of a carefully protected, fragile princess. To understand how much is behind her lifestyle, you have to look at the family she was born into. Her father, King Willem-Alexander, was born in Utrecht in 1967 and became king in 2013 after the abdication of his mother, Queen Beatrix. He studied history at Leiden University and spent years building a profile as a modern, approachable royal before he ever wore the crown. Today, a big part of his role is ceremonial and symbolic, both inside the Netherlands and abroad, but he also works behind the scenes in diplomacy and consultation with the government. Her mother, Queen Maxima, brings a very different background. Born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in 1971, she had a career in finance before her marriage, working in banking and becoming known later for her expertise in microcredit and financial inclusion. As queen, she is heavily involved in social issues, economic empowerment projects, and international representation for the Netherlands. That mix, a Dutch monarch with deep national roots and an Argentine-born queen with a global outlook, is exactly the world Alexia has grown up in. Her older sister, Catharina Amalia, Princess of Orange, is the heir apparent. She was born in 2003 and is being prepared very directly for a future as queen. Her younger sister, Ariane, born in 2007, completes the trio. Together, the three girls are constantly compared to other European royal siblings, whether it's the British princes or the Scandinavian princesses. On the older generation side, there's former Queen Beatrix, Alexia's grandmother, who reigned from 1980 to 2013 and remains a deeply respected figure in Dutch society. Her late grandfather, Prince Claus, was known for his work on social causes and development issues, and for being a steady, supportive consort during Beatrix's reign. On her maternal side, her Argentine grandparents, Jorge Zorriguita, a former Secretary of Agriculture, and Maria del Carmen Cerruti, add another cultural layer to Alexia's identity. Financially, the House of Orange-Nassau is one of the most established royal families in Europe. The Dutch royal family receives an annual stipend funded by the state, which in 2021 was around 47 million euros. That money covers the costs attached to their official duties, staff, travel, and a portion of their personal living expenses. On top of that, they have private wealth built up across generations. Their assets include real estate, agricultural holdings, and other investments, although the exact details and values of those private investments are not made public. There's a clear line in how their finances are handled. The stipend from the government is subject to public scrutiny and parliamentary oversight, so there's transparency there. But their personal investments and inherited wealth are treated as private. That combination of public support and private capital gives the family financial stability and independence, while still tying them to a sense of accountability in their public role. Their money, of course, goes hand in hand with their responsibilities. The Dutch royal family spends a large part of its calendar on ceremonial, diplomatic, and social engagements. They host state visits, attend openings, support charities, and represent the Netherlands abroad. Those duties aren't just for show. They're part of how the monarchy justifies its existence and the funding it receives. The family, including Alexia, also has a strong philanthropic track record, lending their names and time to charities in the Netherlands and internationally. The backdrop to all of this is a series of palaces and residences that define Alexia's physical world. Huis ten Bosch in The Hague is the most important, built in the mid-1600s in Dutch Baroque style. It has served as a royal residence for centuries, and today is the main home of King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima. It's known for its symmetrical layout, classical details, richly decorated interiors, and expansive surrounding parklands. Most of it is private, but parts of grounds and some rooms occasionally open to the public for special tours and events. Another key building is Noordein Palace, also in The Hague. It began life as a medieval farmhouse before evolving over centuries into a city palace. Today, it serves as the king's working palace. This is where a lot of the day-to-day administrative functions of the monarchy are based and where official audiences and certain receptions take place. The gardens and stables are open on specific days, but the main palace remains largely off-limits to the general public. For years, Willem-Alexander and Maxima raised their daughters at Villa Eikenhorst, a large, more informal residence on the Diorten estate near Wassenaar. Surrounded by trees and gardens, it functioned as a private family base away from a full public spotlight, even while official life continued in The Hague. For Alexia, that meant her childhood was divided between extremely formal spaces and a more relaxed, almost countryside environment. For all the structure and tradition, Princess Alexia has built a reputation for having a wilder, more outgoing side than people expect from a future queen sister. Some Spanish outlets began referring to her as the party princess, especially during her time studying in Wales. Her friendship with Spain's Princess Leonor at UWC Atlantic fed a lot of speculation, especially in the Spanish press, which loves to dramatize royal dynamics. There have been reports in Spanish media claiming Alexia skipped classes and didn't always behave in a stereotypically royal fashion. Some tabloids even floated the rumor that Queen Letizia of Spain supposedly asked that Alexia keep some distance from Leonor because of her influence. It's important to say that these are rumors and tabloid narratives rather than confirmed facts. But just the existence of these stories shows how much fascination there is around Alexia's social life and how quickly her every move gets turned into content. Balancing that gossip is the more official version presented by the Dutch court, where Alexia is described as vivid, adventurous, and artistic. That picture fits with what we've actually seen. A teenager who loves music and dance, who continued to participate in a children's sports day with a broken leg, and who seems very comfortable stepping slightly outside the stiffest lines of royal protocol. Her fashion choices have only amplified that image. Alexia has already established herself as one of the most interestingly dressed young royals in Europe. Her wardrobe is a mix of high fashion, pieces borrowed from her mother, and daring accessories that sometimes raise eyebrows. One of her most talked about outfits was the Oscar de la Renta gown she wore for her first solo official engagement, a dress borrowed from Queen Maxima's wardrobe. It was a strong signal that she was stepping into more serious royal duties, while still tapping into her mother's famously glamorous style. She often wears design from Naten, a Belgian house that dresses many Benelux royals, but she tends to choose cuts and colors that feel younger and bolder than the standard royal uniform. Jewelry is another area where Alexia stands out. She wears pieces from serious brands, such as bright blue gemstone rings and those striking hibiscus earrings in white mother-of-pearl from the Spanish label Kuluk, reportedly costing around $500. Mixed in with those modern pieces are family heirlooms, classic diamonds, tiaras, and historic items that have been passed down to the Dutch line for generations. On major formal occasions, she isn't afraid to go all in. For Prinsjesdag 2023, she wore a dress that royal fashion watchers immediately labeled as one of her standout looks. It was elegant, structured, and clearly expensive, pairing perfectly with carefully chosen jewelry. Moments like that show that, even as a teenager, she understands the power of a big royal fashion moment. But she also has a playful side to her style. On another occasion, she grabbed attention by turning up in metallic silver and rose-colored cowboy boots. Not exactly what you expect from a European princess at a formal event. Still, she somehow made them work, and that's what keeps people fascinated. She can move between tradition and something closer to street style without looking uncomfortable. Her broader jewelry and clothing collection seems to follow a pattern. For high-level state events and very formal ceremonies, she leans into dramatic pieces. Diamond earrings, gemstone sets, more elaborate gowns. For daytime and more casual appearances, she tones it down with simple but high-quality items. Delicate bracelets, clean-line necklaces, understated rings. It's that balance that allows her to look appropriate for a role without disappearing into dullness. Alexia also supports both big established fashion houses and up-and-coming designers. Her closet includes pieces from major labels, but also newer names, which quietly signal support for the wider fashion industry. She pays close attention to accessories too. Hats, bags, and shoes are clearly not an afterthought. They're chosen to tie everything together, adding flair without overwhelming the outfit. When you put all of this together, the palaces, the state stipend, the private investments, the historic assets, the couture, the jewels, the education at elite schools, the party princess rumors, and the carefully managed public role, you start to see why people are so intrigued by Princess Alexia's life. It's a perfect example of what extreme privilege looks like in a modern monarchy. Glamorous, controlled, occasionally controversial, and constantly watched. Behind the titles and the headlines, though, she's still a young woman whose main focus, for now, remains on school, personal growth, and slowly taking on more responsibility. As she gets older, her role will almost certainly expand. More engagements, more charitable work, more representation of the Netherlands abroad. Royal fans will keep an eye on the dresses and the jewelry. Tabloids will keep hunting for party pictures. And constitutional experts will keep noting her place in the succession. For now, Princess Alexia of the Netherlands sits at that fascinating point where old world royalty meets a very 21st century idea of youth, independence, and style. And that combination, especially inside a family as wealthy and historically powerful as the House of Orange-Nassau, is exactly what keeps her in the spotlight.